now the latest around the wide world of tropics. Tropical Weather Bulletin for July 14th. Today in the wide world of tropics, absolutely nothing is named or is nameable right about now. I'd go as far to say this is the quiet before the storm. By that I mean peak season, alright? 39 storms have formed so far this year on day 195 of the year. Starting things off with the Atlantic, the period of quiet that I last mentioned when I last did one of these bulletin videos didn't actually last very long, as a 10% area of interest has sprung up near the top of your screen, right about there. As I just mentioned, we have given this system a 10% chance within 5 days. Over in the East Pacific, which has made it to day 60 of hurricane season, 96E in the center of your screen right about there, we've given a 90% chance of formation within 5 days, and we've also given a 70% chance to an area of interest to 96E's east, which for some reason hasn't actually been given an inverse number despite chances of development being so high. On the other side of the Pacific, it's fairly quiet in this basin for the foreseeable future. The typhoon ratio for this part of the world stands at 7 to 2 to 1. Over in the North Indian Ocean, it's quiet as per the norm for this time of year in this part of the world, as monsoonal activity is still ongoing in this region. However, not marked here, but this is active. 95S is in the South Indian Ocean. We've actually given it a 20% chance of formation in 5 days from now. Jumping back into the North Atlantic, looking at the satellite imagery, the 10% area of interest that I hinted at earlier on in the video, it's developing quite nicely. It's again a 10% chance in 5 days. Hasn't given an inverse number yet, however, you never know. Back into the East Pacific, 96E continues to bubble and churn away with its 90% chance that we've designated it, and you can see the 70% area of interest to its east following suit. Back into the West Pacific, again looking fairly quiet. There's no thunderstorm activity east of the Philippines. Nothing tropical is expected here fairly soon. Jumping back into the North Indian Ocean, monsoonal activity still progresses in this part of the world. There are no areas of interest or invests in this basin as of right about now. Sea surface temperatures, the West Pacific remains to be incredibly warm with its 30 plus degree temperatures east of the Philippines. The North Indian is maintaining temperatures of around 28 degrees Celsius due to the monsoonal activity that is ongoing in that part of the world. The tropical Atlantic is still fairly warm. Subtropical Atlantic not as warm, but it is slowly getting there. The tropical East Pacific is also getting pretty warm. The subtropicals again slowly warming up. And the southern hemisphere is in winter mode, so no activity should be expected there for a few months. However, 95S is an invest in the southern hemisphere, I should mention. Sea surface temperature anomalies, the East Pacific area all the way from Baja California to the Californias all the way down to and past Hawaii still remain cooler than average. The northern central Pacific still remains abnormally above average. The Atlantic subtropics still remain below average. There are some tropical spots in the Atlantic below average, but most of the tropical Atlantic still remains at or above average. The West Pacific is also largely warmer than average. And finally, the North Indian is mostly above average, except for the western central Arabian Sea, which has spots of cooler than average waters. On this day, we are taken back to 1983 as Typhoon Vera, or Philippine name, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Bebeng, was just about to strike the Philippines as a newly upgraded typhoon. This system would go on to strike Hainan as a Category 2 system in the coming days. Up next in the Atlantic storm naming list is Fred, followed by Grace. Over in the East Pacific, the next storm name on the list, which we could be seeing fairly soon, is Felicia, followed by Guillermo. And whether you like it or not, Hone is still up next in the Central Pacific on list 1. Jumping over to the other side of the Pacific, the west side of the Pacific, currently on list 4. Up next in this list is Infa, followed by Sempaka. Up next in the North Indian, we shouldn't be seeing this for several months from now, is Gulab, followed by Shaheen. Up next in the Australian region is Paddy, then followed by Ruby. First up in the Southwest Indian is Anna, followed by Batsirai. And finally, up next in the Fiji region is Cody, followed by Dobie. That's all from me for now. We'll see you tomorrow night for another Tropical Weather Bulletin.